Hi everybody, welcome to another edition of Tim's Vinyl Confessions. I'm Tim Derling, and thanking you once again for tuning in. The occasion of this episode, it's another review episode. There's actually been a lot of albums come out that I've wanted to talk about, and there's more to come as this year, I guess you could say, winds down. But the occasion of this one is the latest release from Ace Frehley, Kiss's original Spaceman, and oddly enough, his new album is called Spaceman. Just came out not too long ago, and that's the vinyl version of it. This is silver vinyl on E1 Records that's released the last few Ace albums. And what I like about this is there's 9 songs on it. It's a 9-song album, and I'll get to the possible significance of that later, but there's one vinyl record on here. They didn't try to stretch it out over 2 records and charge twice the amount. So what I find interesting about this, I mean, here's the back cover, but down here on the bottom, this might be the first vinyl album I bought that's got a link to Ace's Facebook page, to anybody's Facebook page. So there you go. Let's talk about the album itself. This is his follow-up to Origins Volume 1, which we did a review episode a couple years ago. Matt and I talked about the songs in there. That was a covers album. So this is his first new album of original material since Space Invader came out in 2014. Still can't get away from that whole space thing, but it doesn't bother me. He is the original Spaceman. I got no problem with Tommy Thayer, so I don't want to go down that road. But I will say this about Ace compared to his former bandmates in Kiss. In 2009, Kiss released Sonic Boom. That was their first album in 11 years. Ace released Anomaly, which was his first album in 20 years. In that time, Kiss has only released one other studio album, Monster, and Ace has released 3 albums. Now, one of them is a covers album, a Volume 1, so there's probably going to be more, but that's okay. It's new music to listen to. I don't understand why Kiss didn't do a covers album, and maybe they will before this End of the Road tour winds down. Let's talk about the album itself. It is Ace's solo album, but it is impossible to talk about it without talking about Kiss. Not only because it's Ace, but because of who's all over this album in a big way. So here's the CD booklet. Same thing, smaller version of it. And this folds out into a big poster, which is, there you go, the album cover. Let's see, how does that compare to the actual album? It is, it's a little bigger, actually. So here we go. That's what the back of it looks like. And there's 9 songs on this album. Let's talk about, in particular, there's 2 songs here that have been getting a lot of notice. The opening track, Without You I'm Nothing, and the third track, Your Wish Is My Command. Those songs not only did Ace co-write with Gene Simmons, but Gene actually plays bass on them. Now, as part of Gene's Vault Tour, he's been making appearances with several former Kiss members. Some he probably won't again because they insist on doing things that don't make any sense, like wearing copyrighted makeup. Vincent, but we're talking about Ace here. Now, 9 songs on here. 8 of them, or one of them is an instrumental. This is the 40th anniversary of Ace's 1978 Kiss solo album, and I call it a Kiss solo album because they all came out at the same time. Each of the 4 original members, of course, did solo albums. I don't need to tell most of you about that. Ace had I don't know if it was the biggest selling album, but he had the most successful single off of any of them with New York Groove. That was a number 13 single. And that sort of followed him around his entire career, trying to score another hit like that. But I'm wondering if the fact that there's 9 songs in this album, most new albums have a lot more than that, is an attempt to recreate that feeling or that pacing of that first solo album. Because 5 songs on side 1, 4 songs on side 2, and there's more similarities in that. We'll go through it song by song. Without You I'm Nothing, that is one of the songs that Gene co-wrote and also played bass on. And you can tell Gene's got a distinctive sound. And I'm going to get this out of the way first off. There isn't really anything on here I don't like, but if you know anything about Ace, he's a great guitar player, influential guitar player, and this guitar playing on this album is amazing. All of the licks that you'd expect to hear from Ace, or the variations of them, they're all there. He's not a great singer, and never claimed to be. Ace was the voice that would pop up on Kiss albums occasionally, starting with Shock Me on Love Gun, and you just kind of welcomed that extra, that voice. You know, you'd have Paul would sing X amount of songs, Gene would sing X amount of songs, Peter would sing one or two, and then Ace started singing too. I'm not really sure that he should be singing an entire album. He did the same thing with Space Invader and also Anomaly, which, you know, I think he would have benefited from a co-lead vocalist, like his drummer Scott Coogan, or former drummer Scott Coogan. And if you want to know what Scott sounds like, I would go to his Origins Volume 1 album and listen to the cover of Bring It On Home by Led Zeppelin. Nails it. But anyway, Ace sings all the songs, so know that in advance. And if you don't mind listening to Ace sing, there's nothing not to like here. It's just, it's Ace doing his thing, you know. Just very simple rock songs and great guitar playing. So Without You I'm Nothing. Next one is, I guess, the first single from it, Rockin' with the Boys. Now, this title, Kiss fans, diehard fans, have been hearing this for years. It was supposedly what Creatures of the Night was going to be called, which is, in my opinion, is a dumb album title. But the title's been floating around for a long, long time. It's it's a rock song, but lyrically, it almost sounds like a sequel to Beth, which is, of course, Peter's song. And we'll just leave it at that. That's kind of what it sounds like. The third song, Your Wish Is My Command. If that's a very Gene Simmons sounding title, it's because he had a song, he was working on a song with that title back in the Psycho Circus days in the late 90s. And the phrase actually did appear on the song You Wanted the Best, which is the song that all four of them trade off verses on. It was actually trading off insults that they hurled at each other in the press, but that's another story. Bronx Boy. I guess that might have been the first single. That came out several months in advance of this album. It's kind of paced a little bit like Parasite, which is, of course, an Ace-written tune. I didn't like it when I first heard it, but it kind of grew on me. I'm really liking it. I think my favorite on here is probably the fifth song, or I'm happy to say the last song on side 1, Pursuit of Rock and Roll. It's just a fun rock tune. Would have fit in very, very well on a Kiss album anywhere. Now here's where it gets interesting. First song on side 2, like New York Groove, kicked off side 2 of his '78 solo album. It was a cover, but it was a UK hit only by a group called Hello. Ace made it his own song. This one kicks off with an interesting choice of a cover, a song called I Want to Go Back, which most people, if you grew up in the 80s, you'll recognize it as being an Eddie Money song. He had a hit single with that. He didn't do it first, though. It was originally done by a group called Billy Satellite back in 1984, which honestly I don't know much about, but I do know that one of their guitar players, Danny Chauncey, went on to join 38 Special. It was also recorded in 1985 on the first solo album by former Journey keyboard player and singer Greg Raleigh. So the song's been around a few times, so I don't know if Ace thinks by putting it in that position, the first song on side 2, if it's going to do the same thing. I mean, he can't realistically think he's going to have a hit single in this day and age, but, you know, it's not a bad cover. I mean, Eddie Money's a better singer than Ace, but it sounds like something that he genuinely feels. I think at this point Ace has straightened himself up quite a bit and does look back fondly. I don't know. It's interesting. It's guitar solo instead of a saxophone solo, in case you're thinking it sounds a lot like the Eddie Money version. It doesn't, but enough to let you know that it's the same song. Next one I really like too, Mission to Mars. Again, the space thing. I think he's having fun with it. That was a faster one. I kind of like that one a lot. Then Off My Back, second to last song, there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing about it really stands up. And then in Ace Frehley tradition, he ends off with an instrumental. It's not a fractured sequel this time around. It's called Quantum Flux. Long instrumental with some great guitar playing in it. It's just the kind of thing you'd want to end off an Ace Frehley album. Also, take a look. It's inside the jewel case here. E1 has reissued Anomaly, which I've got when it first came out. It's got really, really unwieldy packaging that gets damaged easily, and it was never on vinyl, of course, until now. So it shows what else is available. Space Invader, which I also don't yet have on vinyl. That's Origins Volume 1, which I do. And that's the Bronx Boy single that came out on vinyl as well. So, always good to have Ace back. I wish Kiss would do another album, even if it's a covers album. One more thing before they really do hang it up, in the form that they're in right now. But Ace is back. We'll leave it at that. And if you're a fan, you'll like it. You'll want to pick it up. You'll find things to like about it. If you're not a Kiss fan, not an Ace fan, you won't like it. That's my opinion on it anyway, the new Ace Frehley album, Spaceman. Thank you for watching Tim's Vinyl Confessions.